Have you ever loved someone who made you feel invisible? Someone who looked at you, talked to you, shared a life with you, but you always had this chilling feeling that you were just a mirror, a tool, a prop in a play where only they were the star? You tried to explain it to friends, maybe even to a therapist, and they told you he had a difficult childhood. She's just insecure. It's a personality disorder. But deep in your soul, that explanation never quite fit, did it? Because what you experienced felt ancient. It felt evil. What if your deepest intuition was right? Welcome to No More Chains. My name is Parole. For years, I was where you might be now, lost, confused, and searching for an answer that made sense of the nightmare I had lived through. This series is the answer I wish I'd had. Today, in episode 1, we are not just scratching the surface. We are digging down to the very root. We are going to uncover the true, forgotten origin of narcissism. This is not a story that starts in a troubled childhood. This is a story that begins in a perfect garden, with a whisper, a lie, and a choice that shattered the world. Let's start with the story we've all been sold. It's a comforting story, in a way. It's the story of the wounded child. The narrative is simple. A child is hurt, neglected, abused. Their pain is so immense that to survive, they build a fortress around their heart. They create a false self, grandiose, entitled, impenetrable, to protect the fragile, broken child within. The narcissist, we are told, is ultimately a victim who victimizes others. This theory dominates psychology. It's in our textbooks. It's the go-to explanation on talk shows. And it contains a grain of truth. Trauma does shape us, but this theory fails us on a catastrophic level. It fails because of a question it cannot answer. Why do two people, who suffer nearly identical trauma, end up on two completely different paths? Consider this real story. We'll call them Anna and Ben. Anna and Ben are siblings. They grew up in the same house, with the same alcoholic father and a mother who was emotionally absent. They experienced the same fear, the same chaos, the same neglect. Anna grew up to become a social worker. She has a profound capacity for empathy. She dedicates her life to helping children who come from backgrounds like hers. Her trauma became a source of compassion. Ben grew up to become a ruthless CEO. He boasts about his difficult childhood, using it as an excuse for his killer instinct. He manipulates, uses, and discards people without a second thought. His trauma became a source of entitlement. Why? If trauma alone creates a narcissist, why isn't Anna a narcissist? Why did the same fire forge one person into steel and another into a weapon? The modern theory has no satisfying answer. It tells us to have compassion for the narcissist because they are wounded. But this compassion often becomes a trap for the victim, a reason to stay, to tolerate the intolerable.
My therapist kept telling me, he's like this because his mother abandoned him. You need to have compassion. So I did. I poured compassion on him for 15 years. Every time he lied, I thought of the little boy who was lied to. Every time he raged, I saw the boy who was powerless. My compassion became the very chain that kept me locked in. It wasn't until I realized I wasn't dealing with a wounded little boy anymore. I was dealing with something else entirely, that I found the strength to leave.
Maria's story is not unique. The wounded child narrative is a seductive lie that keeps victims in bondage. It forces us to see a humanity that has been hollowed out and replaced by something else. So, if the answer isn't just in psychology or childhood trauma, where is it? To find it, we must become archaeologists of the human soul. We must dig past the topsoil of modern theory, past the bedrock of psychology, and down to a layer that has been hidden for millennia. We must go back to the very first relationship, the first manipulation, the first lie. The book of Genesis, chapter 3, is not a simple fairy tale. It is a forensic report. It is the perfect, preserved crime scene of the first narcissistic encounter in human history. Let's examine it not as a myth, but as a profile. Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. The first thing we learn about the serpent is that he is crafty. The Hebrew word is arum. It doesn't just mean smart. It means shrewd, cunning, subtle. It implies a strategic, deceptive intelligence. This is not a mindless animal. This is a calculated operator. This is the charming, seemingly insightful stranger who knows exactly what to say. Notice who he approaches. He doesn't go to Adam first. He goes to Eve. He identifies the more empathetic, the more relationally engaged heart. Narcissists are masterful at targeting those with a strong capacity for love and trust. The serpent's question: did God actually say, "You shall not eat of any tree in the garden"? His first words are a masterpiece of manipulation. God had given them permission to eat from every tree except one. The serpent reframes reality to create a sense of lack and injustice. Did God really say you can't eat from any tree? It's a lie designed to make Eve doubt her own perception. It's the spiritual ancestor of, "I never said that. You're too sensitive. You're remembering it wrong." It's gaslighting in its original pure form. Eve corrects him, but the seed of doubt is planted. Genesis 3:4-5. You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God. Now he moves in for the kill. He outright denies reality. You will not surely die. And then makes his grand promise, you will be like God. This is the ultimate narcissistic fantasy. It's the core desire, to be the center of the universe, unbound by any rules, answerable to no one, to be worshipped, to be God. He accuses God of being jealous, of holding them back. This is projection and blame shifting. The serpent, in his own pride, desired to be like God, and he projects that same motive onto God. This is exactly what a narcissist does. They accuse you of the very motives that drive them. The result? Eve is seduced. She eats. She gives to Adam, and he eats. The perfect relationship with God and with each other is shattered. The fruit of this encounter is shame, blame, hiding, and pain. Sound familiar? It's the exact cycle of a relationship with a narcissist. So, was the serpent just a snake? The rest of the Bible reveals a terrifying truth. The serpent was a vessel for a much older, much more powerful intelligence, Satan, the ultimate narcissist. In the Gospel of John, chapter 8, Jesus is confronting religious leaders who were manipulating people. He doesn't say, "You had a tough upbringing." He goes straight to the spiritual DNA. John 8:44. You are of your father the devil, and your desires are to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Let's break this down, trait by trait. This is the profile of the original narcissist, and it's the blueprint for every human narcissist. 1. He does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. This is the false self. A narcissist has no core, authentic identity. They are a hollow construct of lies and borrowed personalities. 2. He is a liar and the father of lies. This is gaslighting. Deception is not just what he does, it is who he is. 3. He was a murderer from the beginning. This is the ultimate goal. It's not always physical murder. It's the murder of reputations, of joy, of souls, of hope. The goal is destruction. This is the seed of the serpent that Genesis 3:15 speaks of. It's a spiritual lineage of rebellion, pride, and deceit. Narcissism, then, is not merely a psychological condition. It is a spiritual alignment. It is a human heart choosing to operate according to the nature and pattern of the devil himself, This is why the wounded child theory is insufficient. It's like trying to explain a sophisticated cyber attack by saying the computer has a cold. The problem isn't just in the hardware, the brain. It's in the malicious software, the spiritual influence, that has been installed.
For years, I fought with my wife on a human level. I tried logic, couples therapy, everything. Nothing worked. It was like playing chess with someone who kept changing the rules. The moment I began to see it as a spiritual battle, when I realized I wasn't fighting my wife, but a principality that had a foothold in her, everything changed. I stopped trying to reason with the demonic. I started praying against it. That's when the chains broke.
David's insight is crucial. Understanding the true origin isn't about giving up hope. It's about shifting the battlefield to where the real war is being fought. So, what is the true origin of narcissism? It is the ancient, prideful spirit of Satan, the desire to be God, echoing through the ages, finding a home in willing human hearts, and manifesting as the psychological profile we call narcissism. This knowledge is not meant to terrify you. It is meant to empower you. You are not going crazy. You are not fighting a simple personality flaw. You are confronting an ancient, evil intelligence using a human being as its mask. And this changes everything, because you now know what you are truly dealing with. But this leads to an even bigger question. If the serpent in the garden was the first tempter, who was the first narcissist? Who was the original being who first looked at God and said, "I will take your throne"? The answer takes us to a war in heaven before time began. It reveals the archetype of all narcissism, and it will show you the ultimate weakness of this evil spirit. That is what we will uncover in our next episode. The first narcissist, the star that fell from heaven. If this message has illuminated the darkness for you, if you finally feel like you have a name for what you faced, then do me a favor. Hit the like button. Let me know that this truth is resonating. If you are ready to go deeper, to arm yourself with the knowledge that leads to true freedom, then subscribe to No More Chains and click the notification bell. You will not want to miss a single episode of this series. The prophet Hosea said, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Today, you have taken a powerful step toward gaining that knowledge. You are no longer in the dark. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What part of this origin story resonated most with your experience? Thank you for your courage. Remember, you are not just a survivor. You are a warrior who is uncovering the enemy's playbook. And in that knowledge, there is immense power. Stay strong. God bless. I'll see you in the next video.